Am I too young to invest in real estate? Am I too old to start getting in the game? I'm gonna tell you right now that whether you are as young as 13 years old or whether in your 70s, I'm gonna show you how to crush it in real estate.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Recently, I just celebrated my birthday.
It's your birthday, go Birdie, it's your birthday.
And guess what? Everyone loves a nice German piece of chocolate cake for their birthday, but you know what I like more? Real estate investing. In fact, today we're not just celebrating my birthday, we're actually celebrating the birth of your next real estate move. Today, I'm gonna show you that no matter what age you are, you get to celebrate your next move in real estate. For sure, the top question that I seem to hear the most of is, Kris, am I too young to get started? I don't get a lot of people wondering whether they're necessarily too old, but today I thought in all fairness, I'm gonna break it down for all ages. Like, what would I do if I was 13 years old? What would I do if I was 18, in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, and my 50s? Because you know what? We make up excuses, and that's all ages. It's an excuse that keeps us from getting in the game and investing in real estate. The reality is, no one's gonna build your wealth for you. That's your responsibility. So today, let me give you a healthy dose of permission. You know, when you're 13 years old, you shouldn't really be worrying about like world domination.
Worldwide domination.
And like buying as much real estate as you can. You should be focusing more on preparing to buy real estate. There are some things that you can do at the age of 13. For example, did you know that you can start actually building your credit as a young teenager? You can start saving money and you can learn the basic fundamentals, just like being a subscriber on this channel and ringing the bell, so that when my videos come out, I can help you literally learn from a millionaire how to become one yourself. Something most people don't know is that when it's time for you to actually buy your property, you're going to borrow a lot of money from the bank. You're not gonna buy it paid off. You're gonna put a small down payment and you're gonna ask the bank to give you the rest of the money. But you see, the bank has to decide, are you worthy financially? Should they give you money? And they have a special way of knowing whether you are financially worthy. It's called your credit. And to establish your credit, you gotta get a couple of basic tools like credit cards. Did you know that if you had a couple of credit cards and would use them and keep them paid off for a few short years, a bank would say, you know what? You're worthy enough for me to give money to so that you can buy that home. Let me give you an example from a young woman named Lacey Phillips. This story comes from moneyschool.org. She was just a teenager when she purchased her first property. It was a $103,000 apartment and she got a $75,000 loan, which means she put down the difference in money. She did it by pulling $8,000 from savings, grabbing $7,000 out of an investment account that had been set up in her name, and it literally contained every cash gift card she had ever received since she was a baby.
You're a baby.
And then she asked for $15,000 of an advance on her inheritance from her grandparents. Hey, Grandma.
Who are you?
You know how you're gonna die someday and maybe leave me some money? Can I have some money now?
Don't you call here anymore, because the next call, I'm calling the police.
Recently, I shot a video just for teenagers to show you how you can actually start building credit as young as 13 years old. Click this link and check it out, and I'll show you how to do it. The youngest age that you can really go in and actually start buying real estate in your name is the age of 18. So if you're watching this and you're 18, 19, 20 years old, I want you to check it out. If you focus on saving $5,000 to $10,000, that will serve as a small down payment on buying your own home. And guess what most 18-year-olds are doing? We're going to college and we're learning and we're furthering education. You go into a college town and you buy a basic single family home, you buy it for you, and then guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna rent it out to your buddies.
Roommates.
And they're basically gonna pay your rent, which is gonna pay down your mortgage, and you get to live for free. You know, the very first home I bought was in a college town. My home came with actually a basement apartment. I rented it to a young couple, and they paid my mortgage for me. Fortune Builders came out and they shared 4 amazing reasons why it's actually smart to buy real estate in a college town. First, you have a large tenant pool. Like you got all these young people that need a place to rent. And then of course, you've got stable rent prices because everyone in that town needs a place to rent. And so the rents don't go really high or low. They hold super steady. It's predictable for you as the investor. And then you have a high demand, which leads to fewer vacancies, which means your house isn't really going to be sitting empty. And the marketing is super manageable because every tenant, every student needs a place to call home.
I wanna go home.
Now, when you're in your 20s, it is actually time for you to get officially in the game of real estate. And what I mean by that is you should not be focusing on buying your first house. You should be focusing on buying your second, your third, your fifth, your 10th. Kris, how do I do that? Well, it starts with a track record. You see, when I bought that first initial home with a very small amount of money and I was living for free, what I did is I eliminated my biggest expense. It meant that I was saving money even faster. And what I was really saving money for was my next property. Well, guess what? Between the profits I was making on my first home and my aggressive ability to save because someone else was paying my mortgage, just like in your situation, you buy a house, you have other students that are paying it for you, it allows you to financially get ahead. And you know what? You should be focusing on that 20% down payment for your next house, or just moving a year later into another primary residence with a very small down payment. You shouldn't be focusing on like planting roots deep into the ground. Right now is all about getting ahead and establishing a track record. After I had bought just 3 homes, I attracted my father-in-law as my very first partner that put up the money so that I could keep on buying homes. You know what that's called? That is called OPM, other people's money. It's called finding a partner. And you know what? When you want something bad enough, the resources manifest. You just need a strategy, and I'm giving it to you right now. You see, most people where they get lost in the game of real estate is they think, I got to do this all by myself. Don't make that mistake. The reality is someone else has credit. Remember co-signing? Someone else has money. Doesn't have to be yours. Reality is you've got to have the motivation to say, I want this, and at all costs, I'm going to go after it, and I'm going to make it happen. When you get to your 30s, it gets a little bit complicated because guess what everyone else is doing? They're buying nicer homes, they're getting established, they're driving fancier cars, they're out of college long enough now where they're trying to establish a nicer lifestyle. I'm going to tell you right now that in my 30s, I was able to live in mansions, travel the world, and do anything I wanted because my focus was on investing. It wasn't about keeping up with the Joneses. In my opinion, in your 30s, you should start feeling the panic financially that people in their 50s do. You see, 30-year-olds are thinking, I got time. But when you get 20 years later into your 50s, you know what you're thinking? Crap, it hit the fan. I don't have enough time. How many more working years do I have? And panic sets in. You know what? My favorite belief that really helped me push ahead, especially in my 30s, was this idea of I don't want to be late. I want to be early. And I want to show you right now how to get early to the party. If you're in your 30s, you might be wondering, how much money would I need to save, let's say, to become a millionaire by the time I retire at the age of 62? I've actually graphed it out for you. Let's assume that you had to save a certain amount of money, and let's say that you could grow it at 8% a year. Well, for you to actually hit that target of $1 million at age 30, you'd have to put $6,900 aside and grow it at 8%. But guess what happens the year after? You need to set aside $7,600, the year after $8,200, $9,000. By the time you get to your 39th year, you now need to be saving $15,300. In other words, the older you get, the less time you have to achieve a goal, and you got to put more money in. Unfortunately, most people really start like panicking in their 50s. In your 30s, you should be thinking, man, it is time to be thinking, what is my realistic plan, financial freedom, and getting ahead. Now, understand in your 30s, you're definitely starting to make bigger money. And that means that Uncle Sam wants his cut. You should be focusing on tax strategy. How can I shelter my money and how can I save it? You do that by buying real estate. And if you haven't already bought a primary residence, or maybe you have, I want you to buy another one Because again, even in your 30s, you gotta be thinking, how do I get ahead of the curve instead of keeping up with everyone else who at retirement is gonna actually realize they're far, far, far behind. And if you're watching this video saying, shoot, I am not in my 30s, I'm a lot older than that, it's okay. You can do in real estate in a handful of years what many working class people can't do in 40 years of working. Now, if you're in your 40s, you might start thinking, man, should I be panicking? Like, I bought a house, I've been living in it, I've been 401k'ing, I've been IRAing, but I'm starting to realize that I'm not gonna get exactly where I wanna go. Is it too late for me? Actually, the 40s is a perfect time to actually start investing. And I want you to understand something. You're further ahead of the curve than you might think. You see, you've been putting money likely into retirement accounts, IRAs and 401ks, thinking all the while, this is probably a good, smart move. But then you found me and you subscribe to my channel and you figure out, wow, Kris and many other people hate these forms of retirement because they only produce an annual single-digit ROI. They don't give me a cash flow. In fact, they threaten to penalize me and tax me if I touch my money. I need a better plan. Well, guess what your advantage is? You have started to stockpile some money.
That's a lot of money.
If you've already bought a primary residence years earlier, you probably have some personal equity that you could go to the bank and pull out. And you know what? You might have $50,000 of equity in your home. You might have $200,000 of equity in your home. And you know what I call those? Hidden assets. All the while you've been thinking, I'm here to pay off my house. I'm telling you, no way. I'm here to extract that money and go buy many houses. If you've been establishing your credit, this is also an asset that you can start using. Banks will usually allow you to buy up to 2, 3, or 4 homes in your first 12 months of becoming a real estate investor. Just like using your credit to buy a home to live in, you use the exact same process with some equity in a home or a 401k or an IRA that you take out to start buying additional homes. At this point, however, you're probably not thinking in your 40s, I need a 30-year strategy because that'll put you into your 70s. Right now, you're going to start looking at what I call short-term buy and hold strategies. In fact, if you haven't picked up a copy of my book, The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth, you can click the link below. It's free. And that book documents how you accelerate the building of wealth in a very short, condensed period of time. Now, BiggerPockets had something to say about this. Investing later in life is not only possible, it's logical. For people in their 40s, 50s, or even 60s, investing in real estate can provide a much needed boost of income for retirement years. One advantage to investing later in life is the ability to establish lines of credit or have available collateral or have available equity in a personal residence. In other words, all the years that you've been saving but your money hasn't been working for you, at least you've got it set aside. Now it's about extracting it, accessing it, and putting it to work. If you're watching this video in your 50s, there's a good chance at this point that you're panicking. You're having one of those oh crap moments.
Oh crap.
But I want you to have the opposite experience. There are advantages to your age. For example, in your 50s, it's time for you to become a funding partner for someone else that has the time, effort, and energy to go work that real estate system and make a pile of money. Do you know how many people every single day watch my videos, reach out to my company, click on my links and say, Kris, will you partner with me? Can I tap into your team of 200 experts that are buying houses every single day in the best markets with 25% plus ROIs? Guess what? That's an advantage for people in their 50s. But on top of that, it is time for you to cash in on equity. You have had time on your side with your real estate. So your equity play is further ahead. You have more to tap into than those in their 40s and those in their 30s. And then of course, you get to utilize the establishment of not just banks, but people. You see, you built a reputation for yourself. If you've been good at saving money, then you likely know other people that might be financially panicking, as in, I've got 100,000 in my 401k only. I got 50 grand in my IRA only. Maybe I have my house paid off or halfway paid off, but I don't know what to do. You can band together and go make real estate happen. You have built-in partners in your network because they're in the exact same situation as you. An investor in his 30s recently said this, I'm trying to build $1 billion real estate portfolio in 5 years. Let me ask you, how is that any different whether you're in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s? The reality is when we're young, We don't focus on taking risks and growing wealth because 20-year-olds are really dumb financially. 30-year-olds are not thinking to get ahead. 40-year-olds are busy with family or establishing more of the things that they want in life with their lifestyle or maybe some travel. You start panicking maybe in your 50s or 60s, and I want you to understand that at this point, you shouldn't be looking at like 30, 40, 50-year strategies. You should be thinking, what are the smartest, most intelligent, lowest risk ways of building wealth in short periods of time? You've got wisdom on your side. More importantly, you have a built-in why. A lot of younger people that connect with me, they're actually not building wealth because they don't have a big enough reason to actually make it happen. But at this point, no more screwing around. You just got to find a legitimate strategy with good track record and you can make it happen. Now listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. Regardless of age, whether you're young or old, let me give you a different frame of reference. Have you saved up a little money or have you saved up a lot of money? As in hundreds of thousands of dollars versus less than $10,000. Because regardless of your age, you need a strategy that can work for you and allow you to get somewhere. I wrote this book that I mentioned, The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth. It documents how I started with less than $5,000 and turned it into $1.6 million by building some sweat equity and hustling in my neighborhoods where I lived. But on the other hand, if you're watching this video and you've got 401ks and IRAs, I've established my track record on nearly $1 billion of real estate with 4,500 single family homes. And this is a strategy that takes no money. This is a strategy that takes $40,000, $50,000 to buy a home. And I'm making both of these available to you for free in the links below. In fact, you're welcome to get both of them, but this will document what I would do if I were you and you had a little bit of cash for the smartest way to build wealth. And this is if you've got little to no money whatsoever. I give these as birthday presents to you as we're helping advance your financial strategy and moving forward in your life. Because you know what? When there's a will and a why, there's always a way. You know, less than a year ago, I was talking to one of my YouTube fans. His name was Ryan, and he's in his 30s. He's making good money at a job he hates doing in manufacturing. He said, Kris, how quickly can I get out of here? And I said, well, you're in your 30s, so you should be focusing on buying multiple homes. If you want to see what his journey looked like and how many homes he bought in just 5 months, click this link and I'll show you how he did it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, this is
Oh my gosh.
this is a comic.
I smell sad.
Whoa, this is insane. Ooh.
Ooh, in the media. Ooh.